guys, today we're going to take a look at the Klom Professional Electric Pick Gun. I got this for $72 off eBay. You can find this, depending on who makes it, anywhere from $60 to $80. And I'll tell you right up front, this is neither professional, nor is it a decent pick gun. This is a steaming pile of poo. I am not impressed. Before we jump to conclusions, though, I'll tell you can find this in different names. They sell it exactly the same kit under the name Danube Klom with a C. They have a generic brand, and I spell all those the same way. C-R-A-P. All right, let's take a look at the contents. I rarely do this. I try to be as fair as I can, but I've been messing with this thing for 3 days, and I am so frustrated with it. First of all, you do get the pick gun power unit itself. You get 2 pick heads. One of them is the actual pick gun, which we'll play with in just a minute. The other, oddly, is a drill. I don't know why you'd want to use a drill, but anyway, there you go. We'll talk a little bit more about that. You get a power supply, and this is exactly what you get. It works perfectly, but you'll notice this plug, not so common here in the US. They tell you this is a 110 volt charging system. It does accept 110 volts, but you need an adapter. So you're going to need to find one of these. They're not so common here in the US. I just happen to have one, but this looks like it might be removable and replaceable, but it's not. It's glued on there. So you're stuck with this. So this is exactly what you're going to get out of the box. And then you get a little bag of all kinds of tips and repair parts. The repair parts you will definitely be needing because of the vibration in this thing. The tips, they got a little bit of everything in here. They got one for cross lock, actually 2 for cross locks. They got some tools in here, tension wrench. I don't even know what that would be used for, but all of this stuff, I got to tell you, it's crap. It's really soft, and the stresses you're going to be putting this under with a pick gun are going to overwhelm these very quickly. So you're going to need at least a decent set of hardened steel tips to go along with this thing. All right, the drill. This is interesting because this button, when you push it down, it's supposed to lock the shaft so you can turn this. It doesn't work. It doesn't stop the shaft. I can't find a hole for it to go into. It's just totally non-functional. To make it even worse, this head does not fit onto the power unit. I've struggled with this. It just doesn't work. But we didn't buy this to be a drill anyway, so don't worry about that. The unit itself, these are all cast aluminum. And by the way, the housing on this thing is made of pretty soft plastic. I've got a feeling if you drop this on the floor, that'll be the last time you do that. It's pretty fragile. Slide this on like this and give it a twist. And I have no idea what that does. It's totally non-op. That's how it works. So anyway, the first time I tried to use this, put a pick in there, put it in the lock. After I had charged it for 4 hours, pulled the trigger, nothing happened. So I charged it overnight. Again, there's the charge hole. 24 hours, came back again. I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. I had to take it apart. I didn't want to go to the hassle of sending this thing all the way back to China. So I pulled all those screws out, took it out, and I found a broken solder joint on the inside. It was a pretty crappy soldering job. I just resoldered it, and now it does work. Now, for those of you who are wearing headphones, I advise you to take them off because this is probably going to hurt if you don't. When I pull the trigger, I want you to look at the amount of vibration that we get out of that thing. Well, if I can get it to work. There we go. Now, you'll notice this screw up here is supposed to adjust the upward and downward limits of this. You can tighten it down as much as you want, and it loosens itself up. No matter how much you tighten it down or where you try to set it to adjust the optimal range for your lock, it just backs itself out and eventually just falls out. The other thing, this screw here also loosens up very, very easily, and the tip falls off. So that's why they give you extra parts. These things are going to fall off. It is not even a lock nut, so I don't know what to tell you. Lastly, it is a pretty small unit, pretty small motor on the inside of there. So when we're pulling the trigger, if this goes into a really wide open keyway, it'll probably work okay. But if the slightest amount of paracentric keyway, just a little bit tight so that the pick is dragging on the edge of the keyway, It doesn't take much to totally seize this thing up. So the motor in this really isn't very strong. When we look at it, get off there. What you'll notice is the shaft is offset just a little bit there, and that offset part beats against this bearing here. Now the bearing, that's surprising. That's not a bad move, but it's just really not going to give you much power transfer between that offset shaft and this bearing. It's just not going to do it. The motor in here is just too small to use in paracentric or tight keyways. I don't know what else to tell you guys. This really is a unit to avoid. It is not worth $60 or certainly not worth $80. I advise you to avoid this piece of stuff at all costs. Still, I'm going to give it away, guys. I mean, I don't keep this stuff around here. So if you would like to give it a try and evaluate it yourself, there's a website. Go there. In the middle of the page is a big purple button. Click on it, and if your name is drawn, you're going to be the unlucky recipient of this steaming pile of Klom professional electric something or other. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal.